All right, I'm really excited today to review the Deity PR-2, the PR-2 pocket recorder. Now, this is a new category for Deity. They're known for their very high quality microphones. And this microphone is not just a microphone, that's why they're calling it a pocket recorder. Now, as pocket recorders go, this is the unit. Again, normally I would have this tucked away in a back pocket or with the included belt hook or someplace like that. If you're recording, let's say somebody at a wedding or some other event, you might put one of these on the talent or the person who needs to be recorded, and you would want it to just stay on and just keep recording the whole time. To that end, the buttons are cleverly designed in such a way that you can tap it so they're locked in. There's a triple tap that locks it in so they can't accidentally turn it off. The microphone that's plugged in screws in so that it won't pull out accidentally if they're shoving it into their back pocket. So that would also be a reason this would be a great pack for that. So the word pocket, you could literally put it in your pocket and not worry about the wires coming out or accidentally hitting any buttons. With that in mind, there are buttons and dials on here, and that's a big contrast to some of the other pocket recorders out there. So let's start from the beginning. Again, this is a Deity PR-2. Let's go through the basics of that. First of all, you get the body pack, and you get a very high quality microphone. In fact, the microphone that I am going to switch to from this point on will be recorded entirely on the Deity. So every bit of audio from this point on is coming from that particular microphone, which is placed more or less where you should put a microphone of this type. And when you start with this microphone setup, the first thing you'll notice about this is, unlike some of the other recorders out there, this is a 32-bit recorder. All right, so that's important. Now, if you're new to professional audio, 32-bit float or 32-bit audio is a newer class of audio. Now, there are a lot of diehards and professionals that don't use 32-bit float for one reason or another, but I personally wouldn't go without it, even though I know how to set my gain. And I did set my gain by using this very easy to use menu. So you have a little dial and a button, and there's a side button for all, basically on off. So I could, through the settings, adjust my gain, get it the way I want, and it'll be right. But let's say in planning, I thought that the person was going to speak at a certain level, and I asked them, hey, could you just recite the alphabet or something? And while you're doing that, you're adjusting your gain around the way they talk. But then at one point, they start laughing very loud, or they scream, or they whisper, and the sound gets lower. 32-bit float means that you don't have to worry about accidentally recording it at too high a level, because with 32-bit float, the amount of data that's recorded exceeds that the highest high, there's more room for it than normal, and the lowest low. So there is no sound that would be too high for it to pick up the whole waveform, and there's no sound that would be too low. All right, so it's a 32-bit float recorder, and I do have other 32-bit float recorders. In fact, I have several. Some of them are large. The ones that are small tend to not have an easy-to-use menu. You have to set them entirely with an app, or they're really awkward to use. So this one's very easy to set from here, but with that in mind, the app is actually very good. There's an app that you can load into here. In fact, from that app, you can even see right now the progress of this particular video as it's recording it. It's giving me waveforms and other information. It's showing me the time that's elapsed so far. It gives me time code. And with this app, I can also set the time code to sync with the internet time. Now, in and of itself, that seems simple enough, but it's important that if I'm going to set a multiple camera shoot, and that's what I'm about to talk about next, where I have 2 cameras, 3 cameras, 4 cameras, that if I were to do this, I want all of those audio tracks to be in harmony. I want them to be in sync. So what you can do with this, because Deity makes a very popular line of time code generators, the TC1, this can be used as a time code generator as well. So there is a microphone input, and as I mentioned, it screws in. but there's also an output jack, which you use for monitoring audio. Although for technical reasons, you can't monitor the audio while you're recording. You can monitor it before then. But again, when you're setting the gains, 32-bit, you don't have to worry too much about that. But you could definitely play it back, but you could also, through that output time code. So if you did that, you could jam, which is a way of pushing that time code that's in here, where the exact time frames down to the, when I say frame, it's the frame of the video. So you tell it how many frames per second your video is going to be recorded at. In this case, I'm recording at 24. And then your audio will be in sync per frame exactly as it should be. So you can use this as a time code generator. And you can actually use it with time code generators. You could use it with a TC1 or whatever to get time code in, but that's something that's outside of the scope of what I'm talking about. So the bottom line is you have a high quality microphone that screws in. That's the one that's on me right now. 32-bit float, very small. You can adjust things from the menu or use the app. And by the way, the reason the app is also great is, let's say you are doing a not just a multi-camera shoot, but you're shooting, let's say, even a wedding, and you have 3 microphones, bride, groom, and the pastor, whoever's performing the ceremony. Or you have multiple. You may have a panel of people just all talking. With the app, you could not only configure all of those individual devices through Bluetooth, that's how this is working, but through that app, you could start them all recording at the same time, turn them off, configure them so that they're all on the same time code and that they all have the same recording settings. Now, they also happen to have inside of this unit a stereo microphone input. Now, when you're doing 32-bit float, it has to be mono. Let's leave that out of the equation. So if you want to record 24-bit, you can go stereo. This microphone, of course, is a single microphone, so it's only mono, but they are going to be making accessories where you'll have the 1 jack and 2 wires, and of course they have to be close to each other. But if you're sitting at a desk and you want to record multiple people, you could use that for stereo, two microphones. Or just simply put it on, they're going to be making other microphones where you can just have a little bit of separation. One pointing, let's say, one way, one pointing the other. So you can do stereo with this. And of course it accepts line input, so you could use this as a field recorder to record other devices that are pushing out a line level. So overall, this is Deity's, they call it a PR-2, brand new, really is about as good as they get. To put it frankly, it's as good as it gets. 32-bit float, compact, Bluetooth controllable, time code outputs. I can't say enough about it. Locking microphone, high quality microphone comes with it. You could of course use it with other microphones if you have them. But overall, it's a great setup, and it's reasonably priced. I have other 32-bit recorders that I paid more for that were part of other larger systems, and they were bulkier, like a Mix Pre 6 or a Zoom F6. These are big and bulky. They're not something you can just put in your pocket, so it's great to be able to have that kind of functionality in there. Comes with everything you need in the box. The instructions are pretty slim. There's not a lot to say there, but really a lot of this stuff is intuitive, is on the menu, and of course they have great resources online to learn how to do the more complex stuff. And that's it. Really like this thing. I'll be using it quite a bit, and I will be probably using this in my next videos.
All right, I'm having a little bit of an issue. The batteries are extremely tight. So energizers, they won't fit. Railback. They're not fitting. Duracell go in, but it's actually pooching the plastic. Let me get another Duracell in. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in. I don't know if you can see this, but it is pooching the plastic up right here. Sorry for the low quality. It's such a tight fit. There's two humps. There's like no clearance. It came with the Deity batteries also, so let's see if they'll fit.
No funciona. Más lo conecto. Nada. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. No está grabando ni nada. También si le doy grabar, un poco, nada. Saco los auriculares y ahora de repente funciona. He comprobado con más auriculares y cuando enchufas el auricular tú ya no puedes monitorizar. No funciona. Ya está. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.